has tucked itself away beneath a blanket of velvet shadows, and the narrow cobbled streets of the old town lie in a deep silver silence that feels as soft as a dream. High above, the stars are tiny, distant lanterns flickering in the dark, and the only light below comes from the gentle, rhythmic pulse of a single torch, casting a warm and flickering amber glow against the weathered stone walls. The night air is cool and crisp, carrying the faint, clean scent of damp earth and wood smoke, and everything is perfectly still, perfectly safe, and perfectly quiet. You are invited now to let your own breath slow down, to match the steady, peaceful beat of the sleeping city, and to drift away into the gentle, repetitive footsteps of the watchman. As you close your eyes, feel the weight of the night settle kindly upon you and prepare to rest. Chapter 1. The watchman stands at the threshold of the heavy stone gatehouse, his fingers brushing against the rough, familiar grain of his wooden staff as he prepares to step into the cool embrace of the midnight air. And he feels a deep, settling sense of peace as he looks out over the empty square, where the shadows lie long and still. He adjusts the heavy wool of his dark blue cloak, feeling the thick, warm fibers press gently against his shoulders, and he reaches for the lantern that sits on a low stone bench, the metal handle feeling cool and solid and reliable in his palm. He takes a small flint and strikes it with a slow, practiced motion, watching the tiny sparks dance for a brief moment before the wick catches the flame, and a soft, golden circle of light begins to bloom around him, pushing back the dark with a kind and steady glow. The flame is a small, living thing, flickering very gently behind the horn panes of the lantern, and he watches it for a minute, his own breathing slowing down to match the slow, rhythmic pulse of the fire, until he feels his mind become as quiet as the sleeping town. He begins his first walk of the night, his leather boots making a soft and rhythmic thud against the cobblestones, a sound that is muted and deep, like the distant beating of a drum wrapped in velvet, and he finds a comfort in the repetition of his steps as he moves away from the gatehouse and into the first narrow alley. The air here is very still, smelling of the dry straw in the stables and the faint, sweet scent of the herbs drying in the windowsills above, and he breathes it in deeply, feeling the coolness travel down into his chest and settle there like a quiet lake. He walks with a slow and measured pace, never rushing, for the night is long and the city is at rest, and he enjoys the way the light from his lantern slides across the stone walls, revealing the textures of the mortar and the smooth, worn surfaces of the wood, making everything look soft and ancient and safe. He passes by the bakery where the oven is still warm from the day's work, and he pauses for a moment just to feel the faint radiation of heat coming through the thick walls. A warm memory of the sun that lingers in the stone even now when the moon is high. Every window he passes is dark, the shutters closed tight against the night, and he knows that inside the people are dreaming in their soft beds, tucked away under heavy blankets, and he feels a quiet joy in being the one who watches over their peace. He continues continues his way toward the marketplace, where the empty stalls stand like silent sentinels in the gloom, their wooden frames creaking just a little in the light breeze, a sound that is lonely but peaceful, like the sighing of an old forest. He watches a single leaf tumble across the open ground, moving in slow, lazy circles as it catches the draft, and he follows its journey with his eyes until it settles in a dark corner, becoming still once again. The silence of the town is not empty, but full of small, soft sounds that he has come to know by heart. The distant trickle of the fountain in the square, the rustle of a bird in the thatch of a roof, and the steady, comforting sound of his own heart beating in the quiet. He feels the weight of the keys at his belt, a metallic and silver jingle that follows him like a quiet companion, and he touches them briefly, feeling the cold iron against his skin, a reminder of his purpose and the safety he provides to this little corner of the world. He reaches the edge of the residential district and turns back to look at the gatehouse, now a distant shadow in the dark, and he feels a sense of belonging that is as deep as the stones themselves, a connection to the earth and the night that makes his limbs feel heavy and relaxed. He begins to hum a low, wordless tune, a melody that is as slow and flowing as the river that runs outside the walls, and he finds that his thoughts are drifting away, becoming as soft and blurred as the edges of the light from his lantern. There's nothing to do but walk and watch, to be a witness to the stillness and the dark, and he embraces this simple task with a grateful spirit, his body moving with a fluid ease that comes from 1,000 nights of the same gentle routine. He is part of the night, a quiet shadow moving through a world of shadows, and he feels the peace of the city as if it were his own, a blanket of calm that covers him from head to heel and keeps him safe in the velvet dark. Chapter 2. The hours of the deep night pass in a slow and hypnotic cycle of movement and stillness, a repetitive patrol that takes him through the same familiar turns and under the same arched doorways until the town begins to feel like a dream that he is walking through with eyes wide open. He follows the curve of the western wall, where the stones are cool and damp with the night mist, and he reaches out a hand to touch the rough surface, feeling the moss that grows in the cracks, a soft and velvety texture that is cold to the touch and smells of the deep woods. His footsteps are a constant, grounding rhythm, a steady thud, 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 thud that echoes softly between the tall houses, and he finds that he can predict exactly how the light will fall across each door and each window before he even reaches them. He passes the silent fountain in the center of the small square, where the water spills over the stone lip in a continuous liquid ribbon. The sound, a soft and shushing whisper that seems to pull at his senses and invite him to simply stand and watch. He pauses there for a long time, the lantern resting by his side, and he watches the way the moonlight reflects in the dark pool, creating a shimmering silver eye that looks back at the sky with a quiet and unwavering gaze. The world feels very small and very safe in this circle of light, a tiny island of warmth in the vast, dark ocean of the night. and he feels a deep sense of contentment in the simple reality of the water and the stone and the cool air. He moves on, his cloak swishing gently against his legs with each step, a sound like the rustling of dry silk, and he turns into the lane of the weavers, where the air smells of wool and indigo, and the faint, dusty scent of the looms. Here, the street is so narrow that he can almost touch the houses on both sides at once, and the silence is even deeper, a muffled and heavy quiet that seems to hold its breath as he passes through, his golden light painting the timbered walls in shades of amber and honey. He watches a small cat perched on a high windowsill, its eyes glowing like two tiny emeralds in the dark, and the animal does not move as he passes, but merely blinks slowly, a silent acknowledgement of his presence in the night. He feels the repetitive nature of his walk, becoming a form of meditation, a way to clear his mind of all but the immediate sensations of the cool breeze on his face and the weight of the staff in his hand and the flickering of the flame. He circles back toward the main gate, his path a perfect loop that he has walked so many times that his feet know every uneven stone and every slight slope of the ground, allowing his mind to drift even further into a state of quiet peace. He notices the way the stars have shifted in the sky, the Great Bear turning slowly around the pole star, a cosmic clock that marks the passage of the night with a silent and majestic grace that makes the world feel ancient and eternal. There is no hurry, no urgency to reach any destination, for the journey itself is the purpose, a slow and deliberate watching over the world that requires only patience and a steady heart. He feels the heaviness in his limbs growing, a pleasant and warm fatigue that makes every movement feel more deliberate and more fluid, as if he were moving through a sea of soft, dark water. He passes the church, its spire reaching up toward the stars like a silent prayer, and he listens to the muffled sound of the wind as it whistles through the belfry, a low and ghostly flute that adds to the music of the night. The shadows are his companions, long-standing friends that dance beside him and stretch out before him, leading him onward through the quiet streets with a familiar and comforting presence. He finds himself counting his steps, not because he has to, but because the numbers are a gentle way to measure the silence. 1, 2, 3, 4, and with each number, he feels himself sinking deeper into the calm of the patrol. The world is a place of infinite patience and quiet, and he is the guardian of that quiet, a man of the shadows who finds his greatest joy in the absolute stillness of a town at rest. He breathes in the scent of the night one more time, a mixture of cold stone and sleeping gardens, and he feels his heart beat in a slow, steady rhythm that matches the pulse of the earth beneath his feet, a harmony of being that is as old as the stars themselves and as deep as the foundations of the walls. Chapter 3. The first hint of a change begins to touch the eastern horizon, not as a light, but as a softening of the dark, a slow transition from the deep black of midnight to a pale and misty charcoal that signals the approaching end of his long watch. He feels the shift in the air, a subtle sharpening of the cold, that makes him pull his cloak a little tighter, and he watches as the stars begin to fade one by one, their bright diamonds turning into dim, gray specks in the vast, expanding ceiling of the sky. He makes his final round through the market square, the light from his lantern looking pale and yellow against the growing gray of the dawn, and he sees the first wisps of smoke beginning to rise from the chimneys of the early bakers and the blacksmiths, thin ribbons of blue that drift up into the still air. The silence is starting to fray at the edges, broken by the distant crow of a rooster and the soft lowing of a cow in the pastures outside the walls. And he knows that his time in the shadows is coming to a graceful and quiet conclusion. He walks back toward the gatehouse with a slow and heavy step, his body feeling the full weight of the night's labor, a tired and warm sensation that makes his bed seem like the most beautiful destination in the world. He reaches the heavy oak doors of the guardroom and steps inside, the warmth of the small hearth still glowing with a few orange embers, and the change in temperature feels like a soft embrace against his chilled skin. He sets his staff in its corner, the wood clicking softly against the stone, and he turns the small metal key in his lantern, watching the flame dwindle and vanish with a tiny final puff of smoke that smells of oil and warmth. He unbuckles his belt, the heavy keys in the leather creaking as they come free, and he lays them on the table with a slow and careful motion, his fingers feeling a bit stiff, but his heart feeling light and full. He takes off his heavy cloak and hangs it on a wooden peg, the fabric feeling soft and cool as it slides through his hands, and he stands for a moment just breathing in the quiet of the room, listening to the small sounds of the town as it begins to wake. He walks to his small cot in the corner, a simple bed of straw and wool that feels more inviting than any palace, and he sits down to pull off his heavy boots, the release of pressure making his feet feel light and tingling with a pleasant warmth. He lies back against the straw, the rustle of the bedding a dry and comforting sound that reminds him of the harvest and the sun, and he pulls the thick blankets up to his chin, tucking them in until he is perfectly encased in a world of softness and safety. The light in the room is now a pale, cool blue, the first rays of the sun still hidden behind the walls, but the shadows have retreated to the corners, leaving the center of the room clear and quiet. He feels his eyes growing heavy, the lids falling of their own weight, and he does not try to fight the sleep that is washing over him like a warm, dark tide, pulling him down into the depths of a deep and dreamless rest. His breathing becomes slow and shallow, a gentle rise and fall of his chest that matches the peace he has felt all through the long night, and he feels himself drifting away from the world of stone into keys and lanterns. He is no longer the watchman, but a man of rest, a man of sleep, who has done his work and now claims his reward in the silence of the dawn. The distant sounds of the waking city, the clatter of a cart, the calling of a neighbor, the opening of a shutter, all become a part of a hazy and distant background, a soft music that lulls him further into the dark. He feels the house around him, a sturdy shell of stone and timber, protecting him as he protected the town, and he sinks deeper into the softness of the bed, his mind becoming a blank and peaceful slate. The night is over, the watch is done, and the world is bright and new. But for the watchman, there is only the beautiful, heavy darkness of his sleep, well earned and a peace well kept. He drifts and he turns and he settles, and at last he is gone into the quiet, a part of the stillness he guarded so faithfully until the sun rose to take his place. Sleep now, sleep, sleep.